let's see here. Let me check the time here. It's going on about noon, so I guess at this point it'd still be a good day. How you doing? I'm doing just fine myself. Just got through chowing down on a Wendy's Baconator. I probably feel guilty for probably making a few of you feel hungry. Oh man, just to make it worse, I actually have my good old trusty Mountain Dew sitting here. I'm gonna take a sip of this. Okay. So, in my previous video showcasing the Snowpiercer train, a fellow subscriber of mine wanted me to return or check out my big cruise ship build. And so, of course, that is where we would be. Here she is. Big old SS Atlantis. I'm pretty sure that's what I officially named this thing. Actually, yeah, I did name this the SS. I can't even talk today, and it's already noon. I still can't talk. Shit. So yeah, this is the SS Atlantis, my big cruise ship build, and honestly, I haven't really came back to it as much as I have, but I did at least get something major put inside this ship, and that's primarily what this video is just going to be, is about showing you all the little things that I've done, and maybe kind of not rant, but kind of talk just a little bit about some future plans with this ship, because now I've kind of gotten back in the mood of, you know, disciplining myself into working on this thing a hell of a lot more often. And, you know, so let's see here. The first thing you should immediately notice if you're kind of a fan of my ship build, I did get the whole cargo crane, you know, I don't know what the hell that's called, but I don't know, the little cargo access hatch. I got the one built on the, let's see, that'd be the starboard side. So, it's not, you know, entirely completely detailed, but it's there to say the least, so everything all lines up, it's all even, and, you know, it's symmetrical to say the least. So all I really got to do is just kind of throw the crane on that side, and then put in some of the fine details, and then the bow should pretty much be done whenever it comes to overall accessories, except for under here. This is going to be kind of like a, what would you say, a covered, like, dining area, I guess you could say. So, you know, as far as the outside goes, that's pretty much, you know, everything that's done to the bow. And I've started kind of getting some of the interior done. You have yourself some side access stairways that kind of go inside one of the minor excuse me, some of the one of the minor promenade decks. Is it, you know, for any ship enthusiasts that, like, legitimate ship enthusiasts that, you know, watch these little videos, it's been bothering me for years, but I can't ever really determine if it's actually pronounced promenade or promenade. I've even heard somebody say it's promenade with the E at the end. I haven't, you know, I've always just said promenade because, I don't know, I've heard it said that way in movies and stuff like that. So, I mean, if anybody would like to tell me which way is the best way to pronounce it, please let me know. Kind of answer one of my lifelong questions. So yeah, I've kind of gotten, like, the ceiling and just the floor put into place, and this is, like, as I said, one of the minor promenade decks. I mean, of course, there'd be, like, some, like, walkways up on, like, the second and third levels. You got some restaurants, some stores and gift shops, and all that fun stuff. I mean, promenade decks, like on modern day cruise ships anymore, they're just kind of like gigantic well, I guess you could say over-glorified shopping malls, but they're pretty extravagant, unlike some of the newer, super-sized cruise ships and even ocean liners for that matter. So this is just kind of like my, I guess what you could say, prototype, or oh man, what do they call it? It's just like a rough sketch of what what this promenade area is going to look like. You got some, like, encircled or enclosed trees inside here. The roof, I had I put just this one little simple idea around, kind of like these little halo lights that hang down from the ceiling. Oh shit. Whew, that went down the wrong pipe. I might edit that out, I might not, if I'm not lazy enough to do so. Oh, excuse me, that actually kind of hurt. But hey, just another day in paradise. So, let's see here. It would be excruciatingly dark in here since the lights are so far up into the ceiling, and it's like a high profile ceiling. So, a trick that I was experimenting with, I mean, I would imagine some of you other professional Minecrafters have done this. I actually made the floor entirely out of glowstone. And then I just covered it up with carpet, so that way it's actually, completely lit, hashtag lit. Yeah, so it'd be lit down here, and, it'd be bright, and, like, no mobs would spawn, because I do, like, whenever I get all the lights and stuff put inside the ship, however many years down the road it takes to get this thing done, I do plan on, like, turning mob spawning on and all that stuff, and seeing if there's any locations on board the ship where a lot of mobs spawn, if it's, like, too dark or something. But to say the least, like, it's not, the glowstone on the floor isn't going to be exposed to the, floor below it, because you know how, I don't know if a few of you might have noticed how I do my, my floors and ceiling. Like, see, you have the floor for, like, this level of the cabins, but then whenever you go down to the cabin below it, you should, if I can get in here, because I don't have my heads-up display, and actually put a row of blocks beneath the floor, so it's actually like a proper ceiling. So you could put lights up in the ceiling, and then it won't be exposed to the floor above it. So just kind of like one of my little tips and tricks about how I go up. Yeah, like right here. This is the floor level, and the block below it, this is the ceiling level, and then the floors have a 3-block space in between each and every single one of them. So that's just about how, as far as I go about doing things. And I've got the primary promenade deck going on down through here, so of course it's all going to be glowstone, covered up with different colored carpet. I got something stuck in my throat. Okay. So, of course, I'd have like the, I got like the floor levels laid out here, and this is going to be like the central sprawling hub for most of the activities on board this ship. And we are pretty damn close to the water line, so of course you'd have like some of like the like staff only like storage areas, freezers, meat lockers, and cargo containment and all that good stuff. So I mean, I've at least all this stuff I've at least added within this past week, because whenever the fellow subscriber of mine commented on my Snowpiercer train video about how's my ship build. I didn't have any of this done, so I tried to do all this just to have something presentable. So, just to throw that out there. Now, it doesn't look like there's a lot done, but, man, I can't even remember what the hell I was going to say. But, now that I just realized, there is one section on board this ship that I have dedicated a lot of my work to. Inside this ship, and I'm actually going to go outside here so you don't really get to see it until we get to it. But if you do recall, like my first ever video showcasing this ship, you should remember me talking about how one of my ideas was to try to build an onboard marina on board this ship where these tugboats would be stored. Something about how this ship was so damn big that it was big enough to carry its own fleet of tugboats. And so far, you know what, I guess there's no point in trying to hide it anymore, because you already know what the hell it's going to be. So you can probably just see it coming into view, and here it is. Oop, don't stop flying now. The onboard marina, or however much I've got done to it so far. And I'm actually going to throw on some night vision just, for the sake of seeing things. So yeah, this is the onboard marina. And the only reason, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I dedicated more work to this is because another little trick of mine for any of you who want to build your own supersized cruise ship, I do intend on building a completely furnished interior inside the ship so you can completely explore every single foot inside the ship. So one of my tricks, I'm actually just going to, park the camera somewhere so I can just talk about this, because I can't really multitask at the moment. So one of my ideas, if you're just wanting to listen to this, what I do is I try to go throughout the ship and think of the interior floor plans, and anywhere I know that there's going to be a gigantic compartment inside the ship, such as like the engine bay or a gigantic amphitheater or the promenade decks for that matter, and like here in this case the onboard marina, these compartments will take up the most space. So getting all the large, the large rooms and compartments and all that stuff put into place, you'll take up about a majority of the room inside the ship, which will then tell you or show you how much like small spaces you have to like mess with, like putting in like restaurants or like an arcade or a bowling alley or you know, kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of what I intend on doing, because like you have a lobby there, you have this lobby here with, you know, big green sitting up here. And then you have like the central park garden area towards the stern, which kind of eliminated a lot of, you know, dead space. So, you know, just to kind of like give you an idea as to if you want to get stuff done quicker, that's one way I would suggest doing it, because I did get about this much of the onboard marina done in about 2 or 3 days, because, you know, coming home from work, and I also do share this console with other siblings. So, yeah, that's why I don't YouTube very much. It's like my uploads are entirely random, but then again, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I mean, it's just kind of hit and miss as far as, you know, the way I go about doing things. So, as far as the onboard marina goes, I originally planned to only have 2 tugboats inside here, one on each side. But then whenever I went to go count out the number of blocks that the first and original model of the tugboats were, I found out that it was small enough that I could get probably about 4. I could even have fitted a fifth one here in the center, but I had a change in thought whenever it came to the overall purpose of this onboard marina. I was thinking about having it just be primarily staff only, to where, you know, no passengers or anybody could come in here. It was primarily just for like the workers and the crew to come down here, take the tugboats, and pull the ship into like a port of call somewhere. But then I had a change of thought, and my night vision just ran out. Yeah, it's still kind of dark, so I still got more lights to throw in here. So as I was saying, I had a change in thought as to about how it would make this ship even more cooler. This onboard marina, not thinking about the purpose of the tugboats, I got to thinking, like, what if they're like multi-purpose, like multifunctional vessels? Rather than primarily just being tugboats, they could be used as like shuttlecraft, or even gigantic oversized lifeboats in a worst case scenario. And then it really spawned the idea on me as if, like, if this ship were real and all the different kind of services it offered, granted, considering how big the ship is, well, how big the ship is, realistically, in the real world, there probably isn't a port big enough to hold it, let alone build it. So it would probably have to drop anchor somewhere off the coast, and these tugboats would go to a port of call and pick up passengers or shuttle passengers to like some of these resorts, the beaches and stuff like that. So not only would these tugboats, you know, be tugboats, but they could act as like shuttlecraft or ferries and, you know, oversized lifeboats. So then that's what sprawled the overall idea that this onboard marina would actually be the primary boarding terminal. A boarding terminal. Probably something you would never really even hear or let alone think of being on board a gigantic cruise ship, because everybody always just like walks on the ship at a port. So that's kind of why this area kind of looks like it's, you know, been glamified or, you know, over glorified, and kind of looks, you know, kind of enriched and fancy and all that stuff, because, you know, these tugboats could be bringing passengers on board the ship, so I had to, you know, kind of make it look somewhat fancy. But there's going to be some like utilities and some like hardware. It's not going to like be 100% fancy. I mean, there's still going to be kind of like a few crummy corners located inside this compartment. So I got 4 tugboats built in here, and so I would say this would be the primary location where passengers would board the ship. And of course, like, the stern of the ship is literally just right back there, so we're pretty far to the rear of the ship. You know, I mean, we're just a little bit behind the middle of the ship. So it's like, say if there's no port for the ship to dock at, passengers would primarily come aboard the ship via these tugboats. You would disembark the boats and come walking through here. There'd probably be like a designated line or lane or something like that. My voice sounds kind of funny because I need to burp. It's right there, but I don't want to come up. Oh, there it goes. Oh, shit. So, yeah, passengers would, you know, leave the boats, you know, be carrying their luggage or getting escorted by a guide or something. They'd go up here, and then you'd be coming up to, like, I don't know if I want to designate this one as, like, the primary, you know, main gigantic lobby, although it would make sense because we got this big green fellow sitting here. And then as you're about to get about right here, there'd be like some desks and stuff like that where you get like your room key. You'd have like some elevators going up the sides, and the promenade deck is just between this guy's legs. And you know, that'd be just about the grand scheme of things. And then you'd also have the secondary lobby up there. So just kind of like the overall future plan as to how I'm going to progress throughout this build. So, you know, that's pretty much all I really have done to the ship. So, I mean, this isn't going to be too long of a video, and really nothing much new, but still, like, that is kind of a big piece of, you know, space when you look at it from up here. Oh, yeah, and if you've been wondering, like, what these windows are, it's kind of like, one of those observation platforms, like passengers could just be hanging out up here, or it could be like a waiting room. Say, like, if you know you have some friends coming in on boat number 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can sit up here because something else I forgot to mention is like these two pillars down here. There's actually going to be an elevator on each one. So you can go in, click a button, go up. Next thing you know, boop, you're on the not operations, but observation deck. So then you could like wait here, you know, meet up your family, get everybody put together, and then you can go go down to the what is it, the sign in or the not clock in, that's work. But anyway, you get yourself checked in, and then you go about your business on board the ship. And this is probably the most awkward attraction on board the ship, but you know, he's here. I don't really feel like burning it down, so I don't know. Seeing this big guy here, it almost kind of made me had the idea. I mean, I know my World of Worlds tripod videos got a lot of views and a lot of interest from my fellow subscribers and maybe even some regulars that tune into my channel. Would it seem a little bit too out of the blue to build a tripod somewhere on board the ship, like maybe out here, somewhere out here in the middle, just kind of crouching down, looking down at the garden area? You know, I just kind of had that idea. I mean, it'd look extremely out of place, but then again, you know, it's just, you know, it's Minecraft. You can do whatever the hell you want. I don't know. I might just leave it up to you guys to decide whether or not it'd be a little too out of place or a little too out of the ordinary to build a World of Worlds tripod somewhere in here, because that's also something else I was wanting to point out about this ship. I do have an idea, perhaps building a certain location somewhere on board the ship, whether it be below the waterline or somewhere, somewhere. There'd be a location such as like I do plan on building like a vehicle bay somewhere towards the stern here, kind of like a ferry, where not only does it transport cars and trucks and stuff like that, but it also has a couple of lanes dedicated to carrying trains even. So long story short, the moral is of the idea is that this ship would also contain some of my greatest, air quotes, relics that I've built in Minecraft. Like this ship itself is going to be my crown jewel of one of the craziest things I ever built. So far, the tripod has been like my second greatest achievement, and then the Snowpiercer train is also my third. So, like, as far as, the train, I do plan on building the Snowpiercer train, or like a train in general, along with all the cars and like the vehicle bay towards the stern. The tripod, depending if you guys think it's a good idea or not, might go somewhere out here. And I guess on the final bulletin of this video, just before I end this, I do have a question for you, for any of you who are still watching, or my fellow subscribers or anything. I do plan on starting up my own Minecraft community, but I am kind of a little bit on the fence if I want to do it or not. And here's where you come into play, as the fellow viewer. I know some of you would really like to join me in building some things, and even probably take part in some of my videos and all that stuff. So this is where the question arises as to whether or not I decide to go through with making the community. It comes down to you guys. If you guys want me to start a community and you guys want to be a part of it, let me know down in the comments below, because it just comes down to the number of people that say they want this to be a thing. That will overall determine whether or not I start the community or not. So, just kind of like on the interesting side note, that's something else I have in mind. So, now that I got that all out of the way, it was actually kind of fun to return back to the cruise ship. And yes, this is the end of the video, so I hope you enjoyed, and you know, like I said, if you think the tripod idea would be kind of cool, let me know. If you want me to start up a community, let me know. And until the next thing comes around, I'll see you guys whenever. Take care and have a nice day.